Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Fullerton. So good to see everybody here with smiley faces. My name is Tomoko, and I'm a practitioner at this beautiful spiritual center. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. Happy Easter. So good to see everybody. Did you guys all get one of these? Mm-hmm. It's a prosperity egg, affirmation egg, and 3 lucky people are going to go home with these lovely gifts on the floor. Okay, so we are offering Wednesday evening meditation class, or the class is closed at this time, but the guided meditation to the public is open Wednesdays at 6 p.m. So please join us if you can. Unexpected Income Club has reached over $15,000, and the building fund actually received a couple more $1,000. So combined, we have over $17,000 towards our new spiritual home.
Cool.
Yay! And calling out for crafters, artists, or business owners, or bakers, or anybody who cooks like something that you could sell. We're planning for our craft fair later on this year, probably before Christmas. So if anybody's interested in having a booth, please come see me. And I think that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Take a deep breath and know that this is Easter, Christian tradition, even in metaphysical tradition, new beginnings. All of our things, they say sin, we say mistakes, are forgiven, and we get to start all over again. Isn't that nice? We know that God is at the center of everything we do. We know that God is and I am. That Spirit surrounds each and every one of us. And it supports us in every aspect of our lives. So when we are troubled, it's simple just to go in and be quiet and know that God is handling that situation, but we just need to exercise that. And that we are divinely blessed and loving children of God. I want to take this time to bless all those that make this service possible, starting with our Board of Trustees, the volunteers, the ushers, the greeters, the teachers of our children, who hopefully learn this philosophy at a young age. I know that I do it with my 14-year-old granddaughter, and things are easier, and they're very aware of the younger generation. They meditate, even though they're so busy with this stuff. They have learned to slow it down, because it's okay to be still and be quiet and meditate and to be tolerant of one another, far more than my generation. And then afterwards we get to have our coffee fellowship, and I bless those the hands that put that together. And the music is always so wonderful here. So for those of you who have just come into our doors for the first time, it's a big treat, so welcome. And if I've forgotten everyone else, my fellow practitioners and our minister who will bring that message of love and hope, and you'll find that it resonates it'll be just so personal to you. You'll think, wow, he's speaking directly to me. So I declare in advance this service a blessing for each person involved, and we simply let it be. And so it is.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, need to be still and let God love me.
Thank you. My name is Debra, and I'm a practitioner here, and grew up in this church. And I would always go in the 60s and 70s to the sunrise service at the Hollywood Bowl. So most of you have heard this from me because I seem to choose Easter Sunday. But those of you who haven't heard it, it's so beautiful, nostalgic, written in sort of an old language, but I'll try and make it a little bit different. But it is called Unawares by Emma A. Lent. And there would always be a movie star that would read this at the Hollywood Bowl, with far more drama than I'm probably going to add to it. But they said, the Master is coming to honor the town today, and none can tell at what house or home the Master will choose to stay. And I thought while my heart beat wildly, what if he should come to mine? How would I strive to entertain and honor the guests divine? And straight I turned to toiling to make my house more neat. I swept and polished and garnished and decked it with blossoms so sweet. I was troubled for fear the Master might come before my work was done. So I worked and worked the faster, and I watched the hurrying sun. But right in the midst of my duties, a woman came to my door. She come to tell me of her sorrows and my comfort and my aid to implore. And I said to her, I cannot listen nor help you any today. I have greater things to attend to, and the pleader turned away. But soon there came another, a crippled, thin, pale and gray, and said, oh, let me stop and rest a while in your home, I pray. I have traveled far since morning. I am hungry, faint, and weak. My heart is so full of misery, and comfort and help I seek. And I cried, I am grieved and sorry, but I cannot help today. I looked for a great noble guest, and the cripple went away. And the day wore onward swiftly, and my task was nearly done, and a prayer was ever in my heart, the Master to me might come. And then I thought I would spring to him and serve him with utmost care, when a child stood by me with a face so sweet and fair. Sweet, but with marks of teardrops, and his clothes were tattered and old. A finger was bruised and bleeding, and his little bare feet were cold. And I said to him, I'm sorry for you. You are sorely needing care, but I cannot stop to give it. You must hasten somewhere else. And then at the words, a shadow swept over his blue-veined brow. Someone will feed and clothe you, but I am too busy now. As the day was ended and my toil was over and done, my house was swept and garnished, and I watched in the dark all alone. Watch, but no footfall sounded, and no one paused at my gate. No one entered my cottage door. I could only pray and wait. I waited till night had deepened and the Master had not come. He entered some other door, I said, and glad in some other home. My labor had been for nothing, and I bowed my head and wept. My heart was sore with longing, yet in spite of it all, I slept. Then the Master stood before me. His face was grave and fair. 3 times today I came to your door and craved your pity and care. 3 times you sent me onward, unhelped, and uncomforted. And the blessing you might have had was lost, and your chance to serve has fled. O Lord, dear Lord, forgive me. How could I know it was thee? My very soul was shamed and bowed in the depths of humility. And he said, the mistake you made is pardoned, but the blessing is lost to thee. For comforting not the least of mine, but you failed to comfort me. Let's take that in prayer. I sum that up into service and judgment, which we all do so easily. So before we do that, let's just always take that breath and know that God is and I am. Because we know that the universe is loving, intelligent, and that there is only one God and one Spirit, all action, all things. That we are always loving expressions of God. I speak my word for each one of you today, knowing that you are nurtured at all times, guided and protected always, because we deserve the best in life, and we just sometimes need to just ask for it. Let's continually be guided and divine, in that divine alignment with our highest purpose. Every experience we have, good or bad, just brings us closer to that higher power. We know that when we ask that our prayers are answered, maybe not as quickly, but they do get answered. Let's give thanks right now for every blessing in our lives, knowing that our life flows with every kind of good. Let's accept the kingdom of heaven right here on earth now, because it was created for all of us. And with this knowing, we simply let it be, and so it is.
When I am down and oh, my soul is weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence till you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Wow, there's Michael Whitney. Come on. Richard O'Hara. Our Tommy Cosentino is touring the next couple of weeks, and Richard is going to do a fantastic job of standing in for him. Good morning, all. I am Reverend Bill Salisbury, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here on this Easter Sunday. And what a glorious day. Is this a perfect day for it? This is the day the Lord hath made for us, and it can't get any nicer than this. And I want to just take a minute because this is Easter, okay? So Easter is, remember last week, Palm Sunday, and we're talking about Jesus riding into Jerusalem on the donkey representing that he was coming in peace, not coming in war, coming in conflict. Another thing that it represents was his ability to tame the animal. And metaphysically, we're talking about the animal that's within. We're talking about our basic instincts, our baser instincts. And of course, Jesus was the blueprint. He was the archetypal pattern for all of humanity, for us. And remember, he told us all the time, follow me. He never said, worship me, bow down before me, idolize me, put me up on an altar. He said, follow me. Because you're just like me, and everything I do, you can do also. And periodically, throughout history, there have been those who've come along and have emulated that pretty nicely. It's just kind of, that's a little bit small percentage-wise of those of us who have been here since then. I want to just think about the reading. Thank you, Debra, for that perennial reading. And just knowing that it reminds us of this. If we cannot see God in the children, and we cannot see God in the beggar, and we cannot see God in the seemingly ill, and we cannot see God in our neighbors, we cannot see God in strangers, in the other, if we cannot see God in those that we foolishly and ignorantly and unspiritually see as our enemies, we're never going to see God anywhere. So if we want to sit in silence and in meditation and by ourselves and think that we are seeing God, and it's true at that moment we are, but if we can't go out into the world and see God and talk to God and meet God and every other person that comes our way and see that face of God without any question in our mind that that's what it is, we haven't really seen God at all. We've seen a replica maybe, we've seen an image, but we haven't seen the real thing. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the meaning of Easter. You know, every holiday we come along and we talk about, you know, the meaning of Christmas, the meaning of Thanksgiving. We want to talk about the meaning of Easter because, especially, I think, in our Western culture, I think we get the message wrong. I think we misunderstand totally and completely what Easter is all about. Before I get any further into that, we like parables, right? The master teacher, Jesus, liked parables. Well, in his book, The Ladder, Father Edward Hayes gave us this little parable. And it's titled, The Dangers of Frequent Bathing. This is interesting, said the teacher, reading the newspaper. It's from a news article about research at Bristol University in England. They announced the results of a study of 14,000 young people. It concluded that bathing every day is not good for children. According to the study, those who take regular baths are 25% more likely to develop asthma and other allergies because their immune systems are delicate and still evolving. Well, I need a little help, pleaded the student. I failed to see the parable in that news article. Well, I'll give you a hint, said the teacher. Consider the conventional wisdom of parents and teachers having children frequently go to confession. It may be a pious practice, but is it a healthy one? And think for a minute of the way we raise children, and we ourselves probably were raised in this culture, that Easter is about the crucifixion of Jesus. It's not about the crucifixion. It's about the resurrection. The life principle that we call God, this spirit, this consciousness that grounds all being, within which we live and move and have our being, doesn't recognize, doesn't know death. There is no death in life. It's only transformation. And remember, Jesus told us on Palm Sunday, follow me because we're going through this together. And we're coming out on the other side transformed. So death, what we call death, we sit and we mourn about it, and that's great, that's fine. We've got to get those human feelings out of the way, but the fact of the matter, that person who has moved on, that we say has died, has simply been transformed and into something more closely resembling their highest and best self. Our job is not to focus, give our attention on the crucifixion. Why would we do that? What's important is the resurrection. What's important is saying, listen, this is a part of life. And life doesn't end when this body is no longer servicing me. You know, our founder, Ernest Holmes, said in what we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding. So why wouldn't we focus on that rather than on the body that's left behind, that's no longer serving, and is not just disappearing but transforming into something greater yet to be? You know, the title of today's talk is Take the First Step in Faith. Yes, it is. So Martin Luther King Jr. said that. That's where I got that title. He said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the entire staircase. Just take the first step in faith. And really, don't we do that without thinking about it? Well, I think we should think about it. We get up every morning and we take that first step in faith. We have no guarantee of what's coming. We have no guarantee of what this day is going to bring. Except we know that this day, the universe is conspiring for our good. Just like it does every day. And we know that this day, if we proceed in faith with positive knowledge that everything good is going to happen to us, what are the chances that everything good is going to happen to us? They're excellent. We've got this power. We have this power to direct our lives. We have this power to have a say in how our world unfolds before us. And if we want to say, oh my God, this is going to be a horrible day, guess what? Thank you very much. Job's done here. You want a horrible day? You got it, babe. But on the other hand, if we say no, we're going to have a great day. We're going to have a fantastic day. Today is going to be the best day of my life. Then it will be. I know what you're thinking. Well, yeah, Bill, but what if I get in a car accident? How's that serving for the best day of my life? I got to tell you, I have no idea. I don't know. But I would like for you to think back to all those things that at the time that happened that you thought were really horrible and they weren't going to serve you, and certainly didn't have anything to do with with any part of goodness in your life. And then somehow magically, some hours, days, weeks, months, years later, it turned out that that occurrence was actually for your good, not against it. Because everything that happens is for our good. We can affirm that and get to the good quicker, get to it sooner, or we can deny it and we can play those games with ourselves. Oh my God, I'm a victim. Everything happens to me. The world's against me. Nobody does anything. Nobody can harm us. We are divine beings. We are made in the image and likeness of God. What makes us is God's substance, and what powers and drives and informs our every moment, every action, every thought is divine energy. And as long as we channel that for good, as Emma Curtis Hopkins would say, put it towards seeking our good rather than seeking something else, it's going to serve to make this world a delightful, shiny place for us to be in. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "You are an inlet and may become an outlet to all there is in God. Not just good enough, not just make and do, but all there is. Let your allness be revealed. Release your inner beauty, unleash your imprisoned splendor." And that's what we need to do. And that's what Easter is talking to us about, right? Even Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane said, "Take this cup from me if you will." And then realized, no, it ain't going to happen. It's not what you will. This is mine to do. This is mine. As the great example, this is mine to do, and it's my willingness to surrender my small self so that the larger self can be seen. So that the larger self can be seen and understood. Sometimes I think it's unfortunate that we didn't totally, completely understand that, and we focus so much on the cross, on the crucifixion. But really, if we're going to pay homage to something, to somebody, if we're going to have some sort of an idol or a symbol or an icon, wouldn't we be so much better off having that of the radiant light of God coming from a person who understood and lived within that divinity that he is? Wouldn't we rather see that? Wouldn't we rather show that to our children? Wouldn't we rather have them coming up in the positive aspects of there's nothing that you cannot do if you just set your mind to it? And of course, talking about how to live our lives and how to follow Jesus the way he said. And really, I think he meant more with go with me, don't tag along behind me. But in our humanness, I mean, I guess that's what we hear. That's what we understand when we hear follow me. We understand, okay, I'm the leader, you follow. And that's okay, as long as we still don't let that get in our way, as long as we still understand that we are going to do exactly, or we can do exactly, what the master teacher did, and we can live in exactly that fashion. And that was really simple for Jesus. What he said was, love the way God loves, which simply means to love everything and everybody. And again, sometimes we get away from that. If we think somebody, even way back then, remember? There were the good people, and there were these Samaritans. And when one of the good people was laying on a heap on the side of the road, unable to help himself, unable to care for himself, probably going to die there, and all the other good people kind of walked around to make sure they didn't get any of that on them, along comes the Samaritan. And at that time, remember, Samaritans were the other. So it's not like the other is something that we just came up with in like the 17th, 18th, 19th century. They've been around for a very long time. But the message from Jesus, the message channeled through him from God into this earth is there is no other. There is no other. And I know sometimes that's a hard concept to wrap our heads around. But you know, sometimes I like to equate that to sunlight. Remember sunlight? All of the light of the sun comes from that one celestial giant star burning up there in the sky. And you could say that each iota of that sun comes down to us through these little individual rays. But these little individual rays are nothing if they're not together. So it's one sun, one light, one source of heat, and it's all coming down in little minuscule rays, and combined they make the sunshine. Combined we make the sonship. Combined. And it doesn't work as long as we're trying to be separate. It doesn't work as long as we're trying to individualize. Remember, individuality, individuality. We don't want that. We want that oneness. We want that togetherness. We want that working as a unit, working as the only begotten Son of God, which we are, all of us united. Different aspects, different facets of that one life, but all still eternally and infinitely interconnected, inextricably bound up with one another, so that nothing that I do can not affect everybody else. So if what I'm doing is I'm giving love, showing love, living in love, recognizing love coming back to me, I'm living in the Spirit. And just think, everybody has to say that to him or herself. I am the light of God. I am the light of God. And when I work in tandem, when I am cohesive with, when I am part of that oneness of God, that oneness of that light, all manner of good things is going to happen to me and on this planet. You know, Jesus said, there is nothing about me that you cannot attain. The only difference is, he said, the only difference is that I have nothing that is not from God. I have nothing that is not from God. So if we're still harboring, carrying, burdened under things that are not from God, that are man-made, that are culture-made, that are conditioned into us, we can't be that Jesus was. We have to chip away at that stuff. Remember, it's not about addition. It's all about subtraction. It's all about letting go of everything that is not divine. Letting go of everything that is not love, that is not community, that is not togetherness, that is not joy and peace and beauty. Letting go of everything that is not who we are in our essence. That is not everything that is not part of our spiritual DNA, because we don't need that. And speaking of individuality, you know, he also said something about the seed. And think about it metaphorically, because he said that a seed, until it falls into the ground and dies to that which it was, the seed itself, until that happens, life cannot spring forth from it. But when it does, it springs forth in multiple ways, in new ways. And isn't this spring? Easter's in spring. We have that because this is the time of rebirth. This is the time of renewing all those things that we were gifted with and born into, that came with us as part of that Christ consciousness when we came to this planet, when we came to this life. So we think about that at Easter, but it's like Christmas. You know, we can't allow the Christ consciousness to be in full view only in December. We can't be grateful for everything that we have, for the untold, uncountable, unnameable gifts that we have from the divine, just in November. And we can't experience and exhibit and share and spout love just at Easter time. These are the things that make up our entire basis for even being. And yeah, it's nice to get to this time of the year and put our focus on that a little bit more, maybe, because it is ritual, and ritual is very important to us as people. But the fact is, we have to remember that that's what we carry with us. That's how we live. That's what we are. And as long as we remain in that knowing, as long as we keep that in our sight, we're good to go. We don't need the holiday. But as long as we have it, let's remember, it's not about the crucifixion. It's about the resurrection. It's about walking through and transforming on the other side. It's about bringing forth that within us that is godlike, that within us that is screaming for new life, to renew our love, our joy, our beauty, our happiness. That's what Easter's for. That's why we have it. And that's why we celebrate it. And that's why we come together as a community to experience just a little bit more of that at any given time. And remember, Jesus showed us that death is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the beginning. And we call it death, but again, it's not. It's just transformation. Life is life is life. Always has been, always will be. Never began anywhere, will never end. Therefore, everything that's within it can transform a gazillion times, and I bet you we probably have. But that which in us, that is life, is never going to expire. We don't have an expiration date. It doesn't say EXP, such and such. We just don't have that. And when we live like that, when we go through our life, I remember part of the reading earlier from Debra was about not being in such a hurry that it's not a race. I mean, I think it was Gandhi who said that life is not a race to the end. My God, if you want to race to the end, go ahead. You can make that happen whenever you want. But the fact is to enjoy every minute, is to be present every now moment that we experience. And when we are, life can't batter us around enough to kill us or hurt us. Because we're that resilient. We are resilient in our divinity. And it's that resilience that is our brilliance. How great is that? So I'm going to stop right there. So let's just know together that this Easter, this Sunday, this day right here, right now, we come together as a community. We come together in the spirit of love and joy and beauty and happiness and togetherness, knowing that we don't leave here and then get into real life. that we take this feeling, we take this resurrection, we take this life everlasting with us wherever we go, whenever we go, and with whoever we go with. So I just know that I am so thankful that I've been brought to this existence, to this life, to share this part of my never-ending, eternal, continuous life with the world as it is right this moment, and knowing that my charge is to make this world the best place it can possibly be. And I can do that only by loving it and loving everything I see and meet and think and do in it. So with a grateful heart that I say, thank you, God. Thank you for this knowledge. Thank you for this lovingness. And I just release this word into that law that knows only to say yes to me, knowing that it is so, it is done, it is already an accomplished fact. I just let this word go, and together we say, and so it is. So this is our opportunity to share our abundance, to share that prosperity that we have been so gifted with. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are eternally grateful. And for those of you who have not decided yet to be back here in person, who are watching on whatever that is, YouTube. Not a technology person, but thank you also, and thank you for continuing to mail in or hit the donate button, or to be auto-tithing, or to stop by during the week and see Tomoko, maybe get a quick prayer session in. That we bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing that they're given from the central core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. I just bless them, I accept them, and send them forth to do their good work in this community, this spiritual community, the community at large, and indeed the world at large, with no strings and no conditions. And so it is. Amen.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. The rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, from incompleteness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's soft play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Get up. Let's just know that something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called resurrection.
It's this thing called resurrection.
It's that onward and upward spirituality.
It's that onward and upward spirituality.
It's eternal.
It's eternal.
It's mine.
It's mine.
I'm thankful for this.
I'm thankful for this.
So thank you, God, in me.
Thank you, God, in me.
Amen.
Amen.